40 acres and a Mule Filmworks studio. This studio has a significant meaning to Fort Greene because it is one of the more famous symbols of the urban renewal that Fort Greene underwent following the era that was consumed by the crack epidemic. To give you some background, in the 20s, Fort Greene was a place for the arts and cultures in Brooklyn. In that era, Fort Greene had cultural centers like the Brooklyn Academy of Music and the Paramount Theater. Fort Greene has a strong Black American representation that can be attributed to several factors. Thousands of African American people were employed at the neighboring Brooklyn Navy Yard during World War II. As a result of the influx of workers at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, the New York City Housing Authority built buildings in Fort Greene that would be used as public housing for these African American workers. When the war ended, production at the Brooklyn Navy Yard subsided. The demand for thousands of workers that once was necessary for the function of the Navy Yard was no longer necessary. In the years following the war, the Navy Yard workers had either left the neighborhood or had fallen on hard times. From the 1960s to the 1980s, poverty, crime, and crack was rampant in the neighborhood of Fort Greene. In the late 1980s, Black artists and professionals spearheaded a movement that focused on the restoration of Fort Greene to its former glory before the Great Depression, where it was a community for middle-class Black families and centers for the arts and culture. The Black middle-class artists refurbished the elegant brownstone buildings to their former glory. So where does the 40 acres and Mule Filmworks studio fit into all of this? Longtime Fort Greene resident and director Spike Lee established the studio in 1986. He was a huge part of the restoration movement. His establishment of the studio increased the popularity and profile of Fort Greene. Spike shot several scenes for his movies at Fort Greene, therefore increasing exposure of Fort Greene to the popularity of the neighborhood. 40 acres and a Mule Filmworks studio still stands today as one of the main symbols of the restoration of Fort Greene to the cultural district it is now. Aside from 40 acres and a Mule Filmworks studio, Spike Lee himself is significant to the neighborhood of Fort Greene and the issue of gentrification. Lee is widely known to be the big opponent of gentrification. During the Black History event at the Pratt Institute, Lee ranted about the problems caused by gentrification. He argued that the newcomers have changed the culture of Fort Greene and what it stood for. His father, a jazz musician living in Fort Greene, would receive noise complaints from playing his music from the new residents. These complaints were something he had not experienced before the gentrification of Fort Greene. A problem of gentrification has been the increase of the cost of living in Fort Greene and the displacement of older residents of the neighborhood. Across the neighborhood, rent has increased dramatically. The once affordable housing has been replaced by luxury condos and expensive brownstones. In addition, small Black-owned businesses are being replaced by the big brands and chain stores. The current residents of Fort Greene are being priced out by the gentrifiers. In our interviews, a common trend among the answers we have received have agreed with Spike's sentiments. The current residents have viewed the increasing rent as a negative, as they have headed to other neighborhoods to find cheaper alternatives for food, clothing, and other essentials. Those who own their own homes are lucky, but they have to watch their friends and neighbors who weren't so fortunate be forced out of the area.